Roman Reigns will face off against Jey Uso in Tribal Combat. But the question is, what exactly is Tribal Combat? Well, today I will explain exactly what Tribal Combat is and reveal what exactly it meant when Roman and Jey Uso put their heads together in what some are calling a very touching and heartfelt moment. But what's the truth behind it? This is not the first time that Jey Uso and Roman Reigns were going to have a match. They've actually wrestled before. While Jimmy Uso was injured back in 2020, Roman Reigns ended up feuding with Jey Uso. But what ended up happening was Jey Uso made up with Roman Reigns, but that reunion did not last long as Jey Uso and Roman Reigns are now bitter enemies. What really caused the downfall for the Bloodline was when they made Sami Zayn an honorary Uso and he joined the Bloodline. Because since then, they've just never been the same. Sami Zayn left, and then the Usos left, and all that remains are Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns. Now this time around, Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns is a much bigger match compared to when they first feuded in 2020. This is a match that fans really want to see because of all of the dramatic storylines that they've had over the last few months involving the Bloodline. So this time around, Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns, it truly is a main event caliber match. Because at the first pay-per-view where they wrestled, many fans didn't believe that Jey Uso and Roman Reigns was a very big match and that Jey Uso had no chance of winning. So who cares? Fast forward to 2023 and this is a mega match. This is a huge match and SummerSlam is getting a lot of attention. This is obviously going to be the biggest show since WrestleMania 39, as SummerSlam is going to be in front of a huge crowd at Ford Field where the Detroit Lions play. And they're expecting maybe around 50 to 60,000 people. So when Jey Uso faces off with Roman, the energy in the building is going to be off the charts. But now, prior to the pay-per-view, some very strange things happened on SmackDown. Why did Roman Reigns take off his Tribal Chief necklace? Why did Roman stop Solo Sikoa from Samoan spiking Jey Uso? And the biggest question is, what exactly is Tribal Combat? Well, after the show went off the air, we got the answers to those questions. On SmackDown, WWE promoted a segment called Roman Reigns Rules of Engagement. What exactly did this mean? Well, what it basically meant was it's a contract signing, but also Roman Reigns was going to lay out the rules for the match against Jey Uso at SummerSlam. Roman signed his part of the contract, but then when it went over to Jey Uso, Jey ripped up the contract. Now, some fans thought this meant that this was no longer a title match because Jey ripped up the contract. But from what I've heard, even though Jey did rip up the contract, it's still for the title and it's an official sanctioned match. Jey Uso had a lot of harsh words for Roman Reigns during this segment, and Roman just tried to remain calm and not let Jey Uso get him fired up, and Roman never flinched. But during this segment, a lot of unexplained things happened. A lot of mysterious things. So now let's get to the answers to these questions. So the first question, why did Roman Reigns take off his Tribal Chief necklace? He looked at it as he took it off, and then he placed it over his undisputed WWE Universal Championship. And during this, it was a very somber moment. Roman seemed troubled. He seemed confused. But he laid this Tribal Chief necklace on his title. Why did this happen? It's because he is putting his role as a Tribal Chief on the line at SummerSlam against Jey Uso. So if Jey Uso wins, he will become the brand new tribal chief of the Bloodline, and Roman will have to do whatever Jey says. So next we get to the question of why exactly did Roman Reigns prevent Solo Sikoa from Samoan spiking Jey Uso? The reason why Roman did this, which some found very odd, as some might believe that you have to destroy your opponent as much as possible prior to getting into a match with them at a pay-per-view. We have a short time until the pay-per-view. Let's injure Jey Uso as much as possible so he'll be easy to beat. So why did Roman do this? Roman did it because he is adhering to a Samoan tradition. What is this Samoan tradition? Well, that kind of leads us into the next question, which is, what is tribal combat? Well, it is a Samoan tradition. It's something that Samoan warriors would do back in the day, and when you were going to go to battle, you never took a cheap shot on your opponent. You always fought with pride, and you always had dignity for your opponent. So that's why Roman stopped Solo. And as far as tribal combat at SummerSlam will basically be a no disqualification match, which means anybody can get involved in the match. If Roman Reigns wants Solo to come in and beat up Jey Uso, that's legal. If Jey Uso welcomes back Jimmy Uso and they want to both beat up Roman Reigns, they can do it. Further information on it, you have to either pin your opponent in the middle of the ring or submit them. But it has to happen in the ring. This is not a falls count anywhere type of match. But it will be no DQ, which means there will be plenty of chairs, kendo sticks, run-ins, and table spots. And whoever wins this match will not only get the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, but they will also become the tribal chief of the Bloodline. And what did it mean when Roman Reigns and Jey Uso leaned their heads together? Does it mean that Roman Reigns and Jey Uso have made up and they're now friends? Does it mean they love each other? Roman loves Jey Uso? Or was it just a sign of respect for your opponent in this tribal combat? The explanation is this is a tradition from Samoan tribal combat. And the warriors back in the day would lean their heads together and pay respect to one another. What are your thoughts on the rules of engagement segment on SmackDown? And what are your thoughts about Roman Reigns taking on Jey Uso in tribal combat at SummerSlam? Leave a comment below and give me your opinion. And don't forget to subscribe and click the bell notification and check out our new YouTube channel, Wrestling News Now Insider. Click on the link to visit it now, and you will get brand new exclusive videos.